I am going to assume that you don't know what a musical instrument is, or a keyboard or piano or whatever. This makes noise, it makes sounds. Sometimes, especially on a keyboard, or depending on your untuned piano, some very disturbing sounds at times. The bottom end of the keyboard, low, and it goes up. Right, it goes from this end, low, all the way up to here. Well, that's the white keys. What do the black keys do? They do the same thing. They're a bit of like an in-between key. Look. Now, while someone would, or every music teacher or whatever you want to call them, would skip that lesson, I think it's very important because some people don't even understand that much. But we're going to make it really clear. This is the only keyboard/piano lesson you'll ever need. Okay, firstly, the black versus the white keys. They're a bit different. You know what they do. But there's a big long thing here. You've probably noticed already, there's a pattern. 3 black keys, 2 black keys, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. This is going in segments. It's like a brick, a brick, a brick, a brick, a brick. Now, if you're going to do something on here and you want to show someone or find a starting point so you know what you're trying to do, it's good to choose like a starting key, and that's what people use, what they call middle C, or something like that. I prefer this one here, just left of the 2 black ones. Think of the vampire teeth. It's right just before the vampire teeth. Okay. Is that the sound vampires make when they bite you? What about the triple vampire teeth? Sounds a bit more ominous, doesn't it? Alright, so, when you hear about music, people use letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and sharps and flats. I'm going to introduce you to a different way of doing things. Don't use letters. I can use numbers. I like my fingers, like this is, depending on your thumb, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Little fingers 5, your thumb's 1. I just go like 1, 3, 5. It'll be like that, kind of. I don't know, I can't even hold my hands in that position. But I think of musical notes like in numbers, shapes, and colors and stuff. I don't think of them in letters. And I found that a lot of people who have a natural talent for music, they do the same. Now, I'm not saying that the letters system doesn't have a purpose. You don't need to read sheet music, and if you're not reading sheet music, don't worry about that. Just use your own system. Just find out however you want to do things. But I think numbers, colors, and shapes, and all kinds of things can matter. Whichever suits you. You should have you're a human. You should have a natural talent for music to some degree. Not like a parrot that bobs his head up and down, but he doesn't know what he's doing. We all, if you can understand what I'm saying, then you have some affinity for music. So let's use that as the starting point. It really helps to have a starting point, right? So it helps you navigate. We'll use that starting point as like the starting point of the different bricks, right? That's a starting point. You notice how they're all in harmony? This is what animals don't pick up, harmonies very well. That's not in harmony, but this is. Hang on, let's do this Final Fantasy thing. I'm going to do it in the wrong key, doesn't matter. So, you notice that my little finger and my thumb can just barely reach, right? And if I scale them up like this, they kind of just reach. I haven't got the biggest hands, but they're big enough that I can comfortably reach. Yours will do the same. Unless there's something really badly wrong with you, you should be able to stretch out across them. It really helps to be able to reach that, but you can make do if you can't. You can find something you can do. Okay. So this is a starting point and this is a brick. This whole section here is a brick. Then it starts at the next one, right? So the 2, 3 is a brick, right? This is a brick, this is a brick, this is a brick. Now this is what people, I think, is key to learning music. You really learn yourself. Music teachers, they don't really teach the important stuff. It really comes with practice, and not a lot of practice. I've taught people, they've learned within an hour. They can do things that people do 30 sessions learning. So you need to know where the bricks are in these mates. Remember, 2, 3, 2, 3. So there's a trick that I do for that I teach people. It's one of the first things I teach them. I do the Final Fantasy piano roll thing. I call it a piano roll, but let's start here. I'll just show it, and then I'll show you how to do it. Start with, this is what I like to start with. You're probably familiar with that. If you're not, I could play it with the square leaders. I've got the instrument here, but it should be familiar to you. But that sounds pretty cool, especially when you've got a sustain pedal, which you really need if you've got a keyboard. Having a sustain pedal makes a world of a difference, because otherwise it's going to sound like this. It's no echo, it doesn't. That's the difference. Get yourself a sustain pedal, it costs you nothing. And if you don't got a seat, just get a crate, or sit on your uncle or something. So what I'm going to show you, you'll surely see from this camera angle. I use my middle 3 fingers for this, for the left hand, and you can use any one of these 2 fingers, doesn't matter whichever. Let's just start with your pointer finger, right? I use my middle finger, but easy to start with this pointer finger. So I just go with my little fingers, starting at the starting point. Right, 1, 2, 3. Right? Now, 1, 2, 3, skip 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 5. See, there's one white one in the middle. Let's ignore the black keys, fuck them off later. 1, 2, 3, 5. Right? And then you just go to the next scale. Right? Let's do that. Right? This'll teach you very naturally and very quickly to get a feel for where the bricks are. Just like when you walk with your feet, you know where the other foot's going to go because you've done it so many times. You can talk on your phone while you're walking. It's just like second nature. The same thing here. And then if you instead of doing it out of time like this, with a pause, right? Do it slower. Do it really slow. I don't care if it sounds like it's in ultra slow motion. Try to do it at a steady pace. Make the notes hit at a steady pace where you roll over, right? You can crisscross your hands. So watch this. When I press the right hand button, I'm already crossing my hand over, so it boom, 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 boom. It's all. Right, so that the steady timings between the notes. You can probably do it a lot slower than that. Do it as slow as you need to do it without mistakes. Do that a few times at that speed. It doesn't matter how slow it is, until you can get it. You can get it. Start doing it a few times until you feel comfortable and safe enough that you can do it without mistakes. Doing it a little bit faster. Don't push yourself too fast. Take things slow. You build yourself up to whatever appropriate speed there is. Don't rush yourself. And then in no time you'll be doing. Did a mistake there, but get the point. You don't even need to go to the up and down things and what I did in the first place. Just do that. And you could do it in, if you figure that out, you can do it in any of the white notes. That is my favorite way to show people the connection between the bricks. This is called bricks, right? That you don't understand what you're doing. You're just doing basic mindless memorization with your eyes closed if you don't get a feel for where the bricks are. And the best way to learn that is to interact between the bricks. Do the same thing on different bricks. Like, it's common sense. I don't know anyone else doesn't do this, right? There's also chords. Instead of doing that, we'll do something even broken. We'll do a broken chord, right? I'll show you. Look, this is a chord. That's a chord with one note difference, right? Right, there's a sequence of 4 chords. Most songs just have a sequence of 4 chords going over and over, and sometimes they just change it up briefly. And that's mostly what you do with the left hand with some kind of variant. That's really simple. Your main focus would be on your right hand, not your left hand, right? That's just like when you're walking on your mobile phone, the left hand is the walking, the right hand is the more focused on your phone thing. This just goes in the background, right? But I'm gonna show a broken chord that kind of in a weird way syncs up with everything. Okay, look at these. Remember, we're starting at the starting point, right? Starting point. Let's go to the next one up, right? The starting point, the next brick up, next to the vampire teeth, and we go 1, 2, 5. 1, 2, skip 3 and 4, and go to 5. Right, and you can do this in one hand. Depending on your hand, you might like to do it different ways, but some ways usually work better than others. I use my thumb, my next finger, and so this would be finger 1, finger 2, and finger 4. In fact, I need to move my seat over to the left. Don't forget that you need to move your seat because some people get caught in a weird angle. A rule when it comes to chords, you don't want to have 2 notes next to each other. That's guaranteed a broken chord. But don't try to understand it. We're just going to do a little trick as an exercise, right? We're just going to do that with our right hand the entire time, just so you can understand how cool your left hand can be. I'm going to do 4 notes with my left hand, right? You can put that outside your mind. We can go back to that later. 4 notes with my one finger, 4 notes. All you do need to do is remember where the notes are. That's it. Start right left of the vampire teeth, and you end up at the triple vampire teeth. Kind of sounds like a doorknob, doesn't it? Right, if you can just do that, those 4 notes. I like to start with the bass, the left hand, right, as a background thing. Learn those, whatever you're doing there, in a simple sequence, and then learn the right hand separately, and then you start trying to do them both together. You got to learn, at least when you're learning, do them both separately. Start with your left hand, learn that, then swap to your right hand and start doing that. Once you learn them both, you put them together. So watch what that's going to turn into. In fact, I'm going to use my little finger because of the angle my seat's on. I'm going to go thumb, that finger, little finger, right? 1, 2, 5 fingers. Just over and over. So now, instead of just doing that note, what if we stretch our hand out, we do the splits with our hand, and we match the other vampire teeth, your thumb and your little finger. Now, if you hold that hand position, or even with the chord hand position, like I was doing there like that, whatever hand position you're in, you'll remember to hold that position, and you can go. Right. That one doesn't work, but it's the same hand position. Right. The same thing here. You'll know that hand position, and whatever you line your thumb up, the other one's always going to match. You don't have to look down here at this one. You hold that right hand position and you'll know it'll match up. You're not keeping track of all this stuff. You're only keeping track of your thumb, right? So if I, instead of going, if I use my little finger to line up, I'll go. Sounds like it's got more bass in it, right? Because it does. It's got another note in harmony. Watch when I go one finger to two fingers. Watch the change. Here it comes. See how like it was very progressive into like it's like it's adding another instrument just by doing that. You do the same thing with your right hand, right? I'm only looking at my thumb here, and the other one's just doing it. See, it's just matching up. Messed that up. Because I've got my hand position, it, you know, I know it's going to match up. Now, instead of doing this, you can do that till you get used to it. But whatever, right? We can manually press buttons instead of doing. Instead of doing that, what if we do? Once you get used to that, you can do this. Try to mess around with press different keys on top of it. Try to put a spin on it. So with these keys in exactly the same place, we're not doing any other keys. Double. We're going to change it up in the next round. Now we're going to change my right hand. It already sounds like a half of all rock songs, right? It means we're onto something. And you notice just that little from going to just doing some manually things. You get a feel for just experimenting and just adding a few things, or you've got a bunch of notes you're holding together as a chord or something. Try to press them separately and mix it up. It will just happen naturally. See? Just add a note at the end. That's how music is created. But instead of doing this, notice my pointer finger's kind of in the way. I have to lift it up. What if we just put it in it? We can go from 2. And then we could just put our finger in the natural position it wants to sit in. And you can hold your hand in that position. You get, remember with this, you know, you got your own vampire thing in the middle there, right? You can bite the vampire back, right? And watch, if I just hold that hand position, I'll do the same thing as. It adds in like another, it makes the chord sound heavier, right? Because I've added a third note to it. But then, if I got 3 notes, what did we do here with the 3 notes, right? Right, try to do this note with the 4, with the four chords. Get used to that. And then you can do the same thing with it we did here with that little trick. Just do some manual notes. Right? We'll just do it by itself, right? What? And I'll just do this basic chord here, and I'll do that. I'll just see what it sounds like, right? Remember that thing I did with the right hand? Right, just adding a note to it. You can do it down here too. You can just add things and change things, see what happens, right? I don't recommend this is just so you see how cool it can be. I don't recommend doing this, you just beginning, but it's starting to sound like all, you know, keyboards, and in the next minute you're doing something like this. And suddenly you're doing like all kinds of weird shit, and you end up doing this. Touch is a bit sensitive. I can change the instrument probably. Try to put dual on. Yeah, I need to move my chair. Right, you can do something like that, and so like, how the hell are you doing that? It's just taking a chord and just manually pressing, rolling it up and down. Alright? Yeah, it's taking a bucket with water and just shaking it back and forth. That's what you're doing. But you just add little things on, right? Step at a time until you get it right. Right? You keep doing it over and over. You're comfortable with it. You know how to do it. And then change something. Add something. Even remove something sometimes. Experiment. Let's turn the jewel off. This should do with that. That's just like a starting song, right? And that saves you having to bother with chords. But as for one chord sequence, I'll just give you one chord sequence to do, right? You can do, like you could probably do just white keys, right? Yeah, I'll give you this, right? Let's do this. Look, these These three notes. You see these? And I just use like, starting with your thumb, first, second, and fourth key. Fourth fingers. Right, and these two just go down. And then the whole rest of it, it's like 1, 3, 5 with these three fingers, right? So all but one of these four sequences, they're all 1, 3, 5 keys. Watch, I'll just do 1, 3, 5s here. See, 1, 3, 5. All but the first one, which is like stretched out. It's one ahead, right? So you go. I'll do it with two hands, right? So see. See, it's a 1, 3, 5. There's a lot you can do with those. We'll do the same kind of thing with some black keys too after this, but just to give you an example. I just added a few 1, 3, 5 chords to it. I'll just do one more chord just to show with black keys it should be enough to do, and you can do it here. Right? These chords and the black one in the middle, right? And with the fingers I do 1, 2, 4, which I usually use, right? You can also do a variant one lower than that. But let's do this one. Right? In middle of the vampire teeth. Middle of the left ear vampire teeth. The next part is you just move your thumb up one. It's just those two. And we've got two more chords to do, right? So we go from here. You keep this one, the black one stays the same, right? And then this one goes down, this one goes up to this, right? You're going from this to this finger and your thumb spread out to this and this. And I like to use my little finger to change for that because it's a bit too hard to reach. And then the last one is this. Simple 1, 3, 5, most simple chord, right? It doesn't just take your time. I'm going to do the keys really slow, and as long as you can do them once, that's enough to know what keys to press, to repeat it over and over until you get used to it. Try to ignore this finger in the way. Try and see past it. These keys. You just go up one with your thumb. Then you do the splits. And then these two just go down one after that, right? if it helps, just watch what keys I'm pressing with my with what fingers. And I could just make a song with it, right? I've been playing for ages. Need a coffee, but you know what this song is. Now there's a lot of harmonies between separate different keys, and you'll work it out as long as you get a chord. You can copy that, what's left, on the right. And the reason why I did that is one thing I forgot before, by the way. I can get back to that at the end. But of that little, forgot that. I'll do that later at the end. What's this? Remember, we're just one press, we've got the chord keys, but we're just pressing them one at a time, right? Well, what if we add one with our little pointing finger here? Here. All I'm doing there is I'm adding the first two chords, I press this, the second two chords, I do that. And like, if you realize how simple that is, you'll be able to do it real fast too. Right? Really simple. But here's something even cooler. Remember, you got the different bricks. What if I do on my left? This is a bit harder to do, a lot of practice to do it, because what you're used to doing with your left hand, your whole right hand's doing something different. It's like trying to throw with your opposite hand, right? So you have to learn how to throw with the opposite hand. I have blood circulation problems. I can't move my arm, but I'll manage. I don't have any feeling in my arm. So what if we do? Right, we manually press each one key for the chord. Right? Sounds pretty cool. But what if we do the piano roll thing we did before? Do it like this. Bit more advanced, but do the other stuff first and then move on to this if you can do it, and just do it really slow. Not only will that get you used to knowing where things are in different bricks, the right note in the same brick, it'll also help you get used to the black keys as well. You don't have to try to see an image in your head or anything, it'll just happen naturally. Just know. Is also, etc. You just do the same thing on each one. Right? Now, if you remember, don't do this and then right, and then after the last note move. You can move your left hand over as like while you're doing the right one, right? So you crisscross. See, I moved my hand earlier instead of at the last. You got to move your hand a little bit earlier. So Sounds like a professional. How's it doing that piano roll stuff? Really simple. You know, I'm losing feel on my arm, so. Mind you, I've had to learn how to play a keyboard again over and over. I've been kidnapped and tortured by the government several times, brain damage, all kinds of horrible things done to me, and sometimes I had to learn to speak again. Other times I've had to learn, a lot of times I've had to learn to play music again. And you know, I still managed to get a lot back many times. Not everything, but a lot of things. Hey, maybe even learn a few tricks on the way. So, yeah, so we'll do one more piano roll. Remember the first one? What we just do, instead of 1, 2, 3, 5, we just do 1, 3, 5, right? We'll start down all the way down here. We'll go. Right? But this way, instead of going we'll do it a different way, and this sounds really cool. Here we go. Instead of going all the way out, continuing over here, we'll repeat this one with the left hand. Right? Remember, you got to get your hand early. Right? Your left hand takes over the right hand like that, so you end up doing this. I just played Pachelbel's Canon. I just piano roll Pachelbel's Canon. It's just those 8 notes. I just started at that point, right? How simple it is. Now, those couple of simple things I've done there, probably a couple of other things I could do, but that's enough. That's all you need to start from. And when you learn to connect the bricks, you know where things are on the same brick, right? Right? That happens naturally. You know where every harmony is, and it just happens naturally. You don't have to put effort into it. It's not actually a lot of brain power. Really low IQ people who can barely count can do this. It's not about all this complicated memorization. It's really, really simple. It's just people come across on the wrong angle. They do it in the wrong way. All right. Try this. What I just did, just try this. You learn how to do what I just did. Just the examples. You got the. Then there's the. Oh yeah, that's one thing. One thing before I finish. Remember this. Now you probably noticed in a lot of songs, some people like to wrap up and bend the end of it, the end of the four bars. So instead of going, right? Now I'm going to do 4 bars and I'm going to repeat it to the end of the 8 bars where it loops in again. Watch what I do. I'll let you know. Watch. I'm just going to go up 1 at the end, right? Which is going to be normal. This is going to be normal. Start again. Now watch this next time. Here we go. Here. Do it again. Right? Instead of going from there to there, you just go, you do it in 2 steps instead of 1. It sounds really good, right? That's just adding 1 note in. But if you were to do that thing I did before, just see what it sounds like in a more advanced way, right? You see, it makes... Those little additions and tweaks are what experimenting with that is how you can make anything. And this is the difference between people who very painfully and very inefficiently try to memorize exact notes without able to really truly see the bricks on the keyboard and where things are. They just do simple memorization. That's why people can't freestyle and all that kind of stuff. If you learn what I just tried to teach, you'll see the keyboard and you'll be able to say anything with the keyboard, right? It's like speech. I can speak to you right now, right? And I can invent words, right? I can make poetry. I can write a book, as opposed to simply just memorizing and repeating what I read. I can also write, right? It's the difference between just being able to read and recite and read and write. You can just make stuff up and freestyle if you're able to see the keyboard. Anyway, I've taught... It doesn't have to be the best lesson. It doesn't have to be taught the perfect way. It's a conceptual way of learning. And I think doing it this way, I've taught a lot of people who are really bad at music these simple concepts, probably in quicker time than I've done to do this. But usually, like within an hour, they're doing piano rolls and all kinds of stuff. People who've never done music before, never played a musical instrument before, they've been... avoided music because they thought they'd never be able to do it. And a lot of people will get a musical instrument because not all, but a lot of people will get a musical instrument because they have problems expressing themselves, they have problems with their words, they don't know how to say things, they don't know how to pace themselves, and you don't know, they're out of sync with everything. And only through a musical instrument can they learn how to do that, and they do. And a lot of musicians you've heard of would have had actually a lot of problems expressing themselves, maybe a lot of social problems and stuff like that too, because they don't know how to use their words or express themselves properly. That was the only way they learned. But regardless of what advantages or disadvantages you have, I mean, I didn't have disadvantages with learning music. I picked it up straight away naturally. I don't bother with sheet music. I can kind of read sheet music. I don't bother. It's a hindrance to me. It takes too long. It's a hassle. I can just hear something and play it because I can see the keyboard. Anyway, there's a couple of concepts here. Try to see if you can try them out if you're new. And I did this for one person specific, a friend of mine who's going to get this keyboard I got here, which is a Yamaha PSR EW425, I think it is. It's really cool. You got the Groove Creator thing, and there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do, like 800 instruments, more than you can imagine. A lot of really cool stuff you can do. But anyway, Mr. Orange, I hope this helps you, because this was first primarily meant for you to fall back on, and I hope this also helps other people in the blind, because I'm censored and shadow banned everywhere. So at least for the time being, there's dog in hell chance of getting this video to anyone unless I manually give it to them. But anyone who wants to learn a musical instrument, I highly recommend get a keyboard, a decent keyboard, especially this keyboard. But it's on a keyboard you can play everything, and it's all laid out in one thing, as opposed to different strings where things overlap in a very confusing, cryptic way. The best way, like every real musician has a keyboard for a reason. Alright, this is a very different, before I finish, this is a very different way than I've seen other people teach music, and they try to teach really old traditions that just don't work. Don't try to read sheet music, don't do all that crap, just learn to see the keyboard by doing those things. You'll see that is also that is also that, that is also that. can do a key, you can do a chord, and then you are doing it with both hands. It's just muscle memory. You know where the keys go, right? All right. Hopefully that'll help.